forward on my computer. So just very quickly, I'm not sure if where you are with understanding how this program came about, but my name is Siobhan Murray, and I'm a psychotherapist and I'm a coach, and I've experienced burnout myself in previous careers, which kind of got me down the road of where I am now. And about 18 months ago, I worked on a TV documentary called Stressed, which was really interesting. It was how using lifestyle changes, no medical interventions, how we can change our behaviors to reduce stress in our lives. And that led me on to write a book called The Burnout Solution, which came out in January of last year and was a bestseller. And since then, I've gone on to create this course, the Burnout Solution Program, which is a 10-week course, and it is tutor-led. And so although it is an e-learning, it's self-study, once a week, all the attendees of the course get to have a live Q&A with me. And what's really good about that is people get to send in their questions to me beforehand. So say there's something that they don't want to say out loud in front of their peers, the question will still get answered, or you still have that engagement with me once a week, where people can ask questions live as well as hearing their questions being answered. So with that in mind, I am going to share my screen with you. So can you see that, Louise?
Yep, we can see it.
Brilliant. Okay. So Kajabi is the platform that I use to host the course. And what will happen is, as soon as attendees sign up for the program, they'll receive a welcome email with their login details for Kajabi, which will be theirs every single week for the 10 weeks. They will receive an email. They'll get retold what their password is, what their login details are. So there's not going to be any of this, I can't find it, I don't know what I'm doing. We keep this as simple as ABC, constantly. So this is not adding more stress to people who are going to do the course. So the first, what I call onboarding week 0, is going to give them a welcome video from me, which is pre-recorded, telling them what the course is about, what we're going to cover, how to use the program. So each week over 10 weeks, that week's module will be sent via email for them to link into. So they're not getting all 10 weeks. They're not getting access to all 10 weeks, because people will start dipping in and out, and then that's just going to add more overwhelm. That's not what we want. We want people to do this step by step, week by week, and included in the 10 weeks as I scroll down. So you'll see we've got our welcome video, how to use the program. In the very, very first onboarding, we have 3 downloadable PDFs. They are the burnout quiz, the mood quiz, and the self-care quiz. So I invite everybody to fill those out. They're A4 sheets, PDFs, nothing overwhelming. Get them to sign that, to fill that out, keep it for the 10 weeks. So we go back at the end of the 10 weeks and we use that, we redo it, and we use that as a gauge to see what changes they've made and how they feel, where they gauge on those 3 quizzes, which are the important ones. So then getting into the first week, this one, I suppose, is probably the heaviest of all of them, because it is where we're talking about burnout. We're explaining what compassion fatigue is, how burnout can lead into compassion fatigue, you know, exactly what it is, rather than just these terms. I use a slightly different way of explaining burnout than the World Health Organization, because I do think it can be personally related as well as occupationally. So then we go into identifying the signs and symptoms. And as you can see by this, we break it down into short, small videos. There's a slide deck for each module, which will talk about how each area is explained in that little bit more detail, you know, drilling down so that people have something to take away. Every week, except for 2, has downloadable PDFs and workbooks to work through. Some of them, I'll come back up to the CBT now in a minute. Some of them will have MP3 recordings, because I'm a hypnotherapist as well. So I have hypnosis for sleep. There is some of the workbooks that we have. There's one around letting go, and there is a workbook and a recording to go with it. So a lot of things work hand in hand. With the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, this is quite detailed again, because it's where I'm getting people to do an audit of their lives, where they currently sit with their behaviors. And I explain how CBT can work in changing negative automatic thought processing of what's going on for people, whether it's in work or personally at home. Because, and this is the thing, this could be for somebody, burnout and compassion fatigue that's happening at home because of stress they're bringing into work, or vice versa. So we want to be able to support people on both sides of the scale, not just one. And I don't want it to be, and even when I wrote the book and when I work with clients one-to-one, I don't want this to be companies or organizations are the root cause, because I don't believe it is. I think it's also a lot to do with our personality as well. Moving on, I talk in week 3, I've got my 4 pillars of resilience and recovery, which is sleep, nutrition, exercise, and clutter. I go through those. Sleep is the most important thing. Explain in detail again why these are important. Give people practical tips on how they can get better sleep, eat better without it being a diet exercise. You know, talking about exercise, all of these, the 4 pillars, all of the examples that I give people, this is not to add extra time onto their already busy existence. It's how they can incorporate it into what they're already doing. So as I said, there's 8 weeks of work. We have 2 weeks where we don't have work. They're implementation weeks. I'm still live for Q&A on both of these weeks. There's a short video on both of them explaining what implementation week is, which is, we'll have done 3 weeks of a lot of work. So implementation week is to allow people to maybe drill down in certain areas that they wanted to. Could be the cognitive behavioral therapy, or it could have been, you know, going through working at their why, going through self-doubt. It's just giving them that little extra time for support so they don't feel overwhelmed running through this at 90 miles an hour. And then we're getting into, as I said, here we've got the, you can see the Letting Go workbook, the Letting Go MP3. When we're looking at rewriting your story, you know, our values is huge, what our values are, our core values, and how we live our lives. Going through to week 7, boundaries. People need, what they want to know is what to do. This is all very well me talking, going, these are the reasons, the causes, and all this. It's like, what do I do? So this is where we talk about what we do, how we actually put these things into place. Going down, we've got 8 week. You can see here's implementation week again. We talk about the science behind the mind. And the way I see this program working and how the book was, we're basically building up layers. So by the time we get to the science behind the mind, people have started to implement all the core things, their sleep, nutrition, exercise, and clutter, their negotiables, their non-negotiables. They've got their boundaries. They're a bit clearer. So now we start looking at sort of the higher level. So journaling and gratitude, around mindfulness, how to practice mindfulness. It's not going to, again, take away from time, because nearly everybody practices mindfulness, whether it's cooking, whether it's going for a walk. It's getting people to really grasp what they're doing. And then we get on to week 10, which is, okay, where are you going now? Now you've done all this. So there was a very, very big workbook, which is a bonus. It's about 54 pages that I've been working on, which is an extra that we don't work through in the course. They get this as their takeaway at the end. We do the 3 quizzes that we did at the beginning. We gauge where we are, and they get to do that Q&A with me again on anything that's come up for them. So I suppose, I know I've run through this quite quickly. I'm conscious of time. Is there anything you would like to ask me on that around it, Louise?
Hi, my name's Anne-Marie. I'm here with Louise.
Hi, Anne-Marie. How are you?
There's 3 of us here in Ottawa.
Ah, hi,
Yeah.
Louise.
Yeah, like, I mean, we always want to look for stuff like this for our staff because they experience such high levels of burnout. But obviously, like, we're a nonprofit, so cost is like a really big issue for us.
Of course.
Also, like, you know, the Canadian to Euro currency conversion is a bit steep as well. So,
oh God, yes.
So just looking at the price here, so it's about 500 euros like per person for the 12 weeks.
Well, actually, I'm going to let Michael jump in here, because what we have done is this. I actually will take this price off this particular program. We're doing this in a way that we want to make it as accessible for companies as possible. So we are, depending on how many employees would sign up within a company, we will do a special package around that. Michael, will I let you jump in on that?
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, guys. So if Anne-Marie and Louise, if you want to offer this service to your staff, then let's talk about this offline, and we can talk about the numbers that you have and how you would like to structure it. If you want some people to try it first and then come back and a larger group do it, then I think
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea.
We can certainly renegotiate the price based on that. So
okay.
we didn't intend to scare you this morning with that.
Sorry. Sorry.
That wasn't our intention.
My other question is, so I supervise all of our peer workers. So they're people who have lived experience with addiction, mental health, homelessness, whatever. And so in my experience, I tend to find their burnout stuff, their emotional stuff is generally like quite more complicated and extensive than, our nurses and or our other frontliners. And I mean, they're all experiencing burnout. They all deserve support, but just can you comment on, sort of your experience working with people who have more like complicated stuff going on, and like, I guess, like, do you think this is appropriate for them?
Yes, and I think so. Herein lies where I suppose I pride myself. Yes, I have had corporate burnout, but I am a psychotherapist. I don't practice therapy anymore. I am fully accredited. I keep my accreditation going. I keep my supervision going. So I am used to dealing with people who have deep-rooted issues. Now, this isn't therapy sessions, obviously.
No.
That is why when I was putting this together, I really wanted to have the once a week Q&A sessions. And that's where, in situations like this, when you have people who are experiencing quite traumatic situations, they get to be able to email, or, they can send a recording to me if that works easier for them rather than typing. I get that information. So then when we're doing the Q&A, I'm responding to that, to all of them, but no one person is having to, like school, put their hand up and go, this is my issue right now.
Yeah.
So firstly, everyone benefits from the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And as a psychotherapist and a counselor, I am qualified to be able to come back. Now, obviously, if I felt that there was any one person who needed extra support, I would refer that. I would come back to you guys and go, look, my recommendation is there's a bit more of an issue here.
Yeah,
perfect.
And guys, when we were selecting a person to work with on this particular subject, and what you just described is what we hear from outreach workers all over the world, not just in Canada or Ireland. It's in every single country. We have requests from about a dozen different agencies in 6 different countries for this service at the moment. And we selected Siobhan because of her accredited professional psychotherapy background. I mean, there's lots of people offering burnout programs, but we selected Siobhan because of her background and her experience in this area. So that's why we're here today.
Yeah,
good.
And the other thing, ladies, that I should have said is, on an ongoing basis, once you, as a company, regardless of how many employees you buy this for, once they have access to this, you have lifetime access. So in 6 months' time, if the World Health Organization starts to upgrade its classification, which I dearly hope it doesn't, and I do talk about this in the program, because while it stays as a non-medical condition, then it will force people to actually implement change, because it's lifestyle changes and not medication that's going to get people through this. But if I do new PDFs, if I do new workbooks, new videos, as new information comes and I update this course, everyone who has bought into it gets the updated version. You don't just go, oh, when I finished in 10 weeks, I can't access this anymore.
Siobhan, what's the time commitment for a person taking the course on a weekly basis?
Well, it is on a weekly basis because of the live Q&A. So it is for example, if Louise came on board and for her company, they said, right, we're going to start on the 1st of April, we would get everybody to commit to start. Now, the Q&A sessions will be recorded. They will be uploaded into a private area just for Louise's company, so that anybody who couldn't attend the Q&A can also listen back. They don't get to lose out on not being able to attend for whatever reason.
Yeah, because that's another challenge of ours, is that our staff we're open 24 hours a day. So we've got lots of people on shift work, sleeping at different times and stuff. So that would be a challenge. That's always a challenge for us. We're doing any training or any coordinating of meetings. That's always tough for us.
Yeah. Well, we could look at, I mean, my bottom line with this is, I want people to be able to walk away, as Michael and Deirdre do, and go, that was amazing. That really worked for us. This is great. We want to get more people on board to do this. So if it means that we need to look at doing 2 sessions a week to be able to facilitate shift workers, we're very open to be able to do that. This has to work for you. If you're going to invest in it, it has to absolutely work for you guys.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, we're very interested, but yeah, it's absolutely going to come down to the cost. So we'll have to definitely talk about that and see where we are. I mean, sometimes we do usually have some funds left over because our end of fiscal year is coming up, end of March. So hopefully we can work something out, but this all sounds really good. Yeah. And we're really interested.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I'm going to let Michael talk to you guys just about the how it would work from that point of view. But obviously, if there's any more questions, or if you've anywhere else within the organization you'd like me to run through this with, again, Deirdre and Michael will set that up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And guys, we can send you the link afterwards, just so that if you want to share the presentation with any of your colleagues, then you can have that available.
Right. Perfect.
Because
one of the other nurses wanted to be here and she couldn't this morning, so it's going to be great for her.
Okay, great.
Good. Well, Louise, I'll contact you later, maybe a call or something, and I'll have a chat about taking it forward.
Okay, perfect.
Great, and thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ladies. Bye, Louise. Bye, Anne-Marie.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.